We've officially reached the halfway mark, 50 issues of web slinging action. And what a milestone it is, with Spidey's greatest challenges yet, and one of the most legendary comic book covers in history. But don't go anywhere. Issues 51 through 60 bring even more intensity and unforgettable moments. Let's check them out.
Issue 51.
Continuing from issue 50, Spider-Man's new nemesis, the Kingpin, cements his power over New York's underworld. Peter Parker investigates while balancing college life and his growing affection for Gwen Stacy. But Kingpin's influence runs deep, and he captures J. Jonah Jameson to use the Daily Bugle as propaganda. Spider-Man infiltrates Kingpin's lair for a daring rescue, marking their first true showdown. Brains versus Brawn.
Cover art rating. Issue 52.
Spider-Man and Jameson are trapped in Kingpin's headquarters. When Kingpin orders the building flooded, Spider-Man must save Jameson and escape the rising water, an early echo of the "If This Be My Destiny" resilience theme. Kingpin flees, leaving behind his first major defeat. Jameson, of course, still spins the story to make Spider-Man look like the criminal. Despite that, Peter walks away more confident than ever.
Cover art rating. Issue 53.
Kingpin fades to the shadows, and a familiar menace returns, none other than Dr. Octopus. Still obsessed with revenge, Ock escapes prison and begins a new crime spree. Peter juggles dating Gwen and fighting Ock, showcasing how his life's duality always collides. The action escalates when Aunt May, unaware of Ock's evil, invites him to stay as a guest, as set up for the next issue's chaos. I can't believe that is happening. Doc Ock as a house guest in Spider-Man's home. This is going to be great.
Cover art. Issue 54.
As you could only imagine, Peter's stress levels skyrocket. He must keep Aunt May safe while Dr. Octopus is literally living under her roof. Romita's art shines as tension builds. Ock finally discovers Spider-Man's secret identity, but assumes it's a coincidence. Peter defeats him through clever strategy, but the emotional toll is heavy. Meanwhile, the friendship between Mary Jane, Gwen, and Peter begin to blossom. We've got a little triangle going on here.
Cover art rating. Issue 55.
Dr. Octopus returns, and this time he's ahead of Spider-Man at every turn. Using his mechanical arms remotely, Ock kidnaps key figures to lure Spidey out. This issue showcases one of Romita's most striking covers, Ock's looming face surrounded by his tentacles. Peter manages to turn the tables, but the ending teases that Ock will never truly be defeated. He's one of Spider-Man's greatest threats.
Cover art. Issue 56.
After their latest battle, Spider-Man develops temporary amnesia. Dr. Octopus tricks him into believing they are partners in crime. That's a great one. This strange alliance turns New York upside down until Peter's memories slowly resurface during a bank heist. I could only imagine J. Jonah Jameson having a field day over this, thinking that he's finally proven right that Spider-Man is a bad guy. When he finally remembers who he is, the fight is explosive. Spider-Man redeems himself and exposes Ock once again. A creative twist that adds psychological depth to their rivalry. This is awesome.
Cover art. Issue 57.
Still shaken from the amnesia, Spider-Man is pursued both by the police and the public. Enter Ka-Zar, the jungle hero from the savage land who comes to New York to capture Spider-Man after believing false reports that he's a criminal. After a spectacular battle, the two heroes realize they've been manipulated, and Spider-Man clears his name. The issue ends with newfound mutual respect between them.
Cover art. Issue 58. Cover art. Issue 59.
And finally, Mary Jane's first major storyline begins. She unknowingly works at a nightclub run by a criminal known as the Brainwasher, secretly another alias of the Kingpin. He's hypnotizing politicians and business leaders for power. When MJ becomes a pawn, Spider-Man saves her and exposes the plot. The issue marks a shift towards more modern, youth-focused stories. Dancing, clubs, and counterculture themes blend into the superhero drama.
Cover art. Issue 60.
Spider-Man defeats Kingpin's mind control operation, freeing Mary Jane and the others. But the emotional costs linger. Peter's double life is beginning to fracture his relationships. Kingpin escapes once again, cementing himself as Spidey's most cunning foe. Meanwhile, Gwen Stacy grows closer to Peter, and the readers see the seeds of a love triangle between Gwen, Mary Jane, and Peter beginning to form. Oh yeah, things are getting juicy. It just occurred to me, between Peter being Spider-Man and now in the middle of a love triangle, when does he have time to relax? I really think he should pick up fishing and chill for a little while. He needs a vacation.
Cover art.
"60 issues in, and Spider-Man's adventures are only getting more daring. The villains are more dangerous, the personal drama is deeper, and art continues to evolve in exciting ways. Now let's keep this swing going with issues 61 through 70. Some of the most underrated gems of the run.
Issue 61.
Peter helps Gwen Stacy's father, Captain Stacy, clear Spider-Man's name after he's accused of a crime. Meanwhile, Gwen begins to fall more deeply for Peter, and the emotional stakes of this double life grow heavier. And the stakes are higher.
Cover art. Issue 62.
The Medusa of the Inhumans comes to New York for a publicity stunt, but Spider-Man mistakes her for a threat. After a brief battle, they part as uneasy allies, as you could imagine. Spidey's quick judgment and humility. See, even Spider-Man could be wrong at times. I think those Spidey senses kicked in a little too fast.
Cover art. Issue 63.
Vulture returns with a new partner, Blackie Drago, leading to a fierce aerial showdown. Spider-Man struggles against both villains in the skies over the city. Incredible action-packed sequences. Great story.
Cover art. Issue 64.
The duel of the two vultures continues in this issue as Spider-Man intervenes. However, in the end, Adrian Toomes, that's right, the original Vulture, reclaims his mantle, proving he's the true master of disguise.
Cover art. Issue 65.
Spider-Man becomes a fugitive once again, trapped inside a prison while trying to stop a breakout. The 10th issue highlights Peter's cleverness and resourcefulness, even behind bars. How he manages to go to prison and still keep his secret identity as Peter Parker is incredible.
Cover art. Issue 66.
Mysterio returns in this issue in the madness of Mysterio, manipulating Spider-Man's mind with illusions that make Peter question what's real and what's not. The surreal art showcases Mysterio's psychological power and challenges for Spider-Man.
Cover art. Issue 67.
Mysterio's illusions continue, shrinking Spider-Man down into a miniature world. That is amazing. In the end, Spidey breaks free from the deception and sees reality for what it is, reaffirming his courage, clear-headedness, and stamina to go along with his willpower.
Cover art. Issue 68.
In this issue, student protests on campus. Unrest hits ESU, drawing Peter into the chaos. Meanwhile, the Kingpin schemes to steal a powerful ancient tablet with mysterious secrets. Oh my.
Cover art. Issue 69.
Spider-Man tries to retrieve the stolen tablet from the Kingpin, while the Kingpin's men close in. The story balances social issues and superhero action, reflecting to late 60s tensions.
Cover art. Issue 70.
Still branded a menace, Spider-Man must stop the Kingpin once more while dodging the police. The tablet remains unresolved, keeping readers hooked for the next dramatic chapter. Here we go.
Cover art.
"70 issues down, and Spidey's legacy is undeniable. We've seen him tested in ways few heroes could endure, and the covers alone tell a story of their own. But the final stretch is where things really heat up. Time to jump into 71 through 80 and beyond."
Issue 71.
Spider-Man faces Quicksilver, the mutant speedster from the X-Men universe. A misunderstanding sets them up against each other when Quicksilver believes Spider-Man has attacked his sister, the Scarlet Witch. Their fast-paced battle zips across the city in a blur of motion, with both heroes eventually realizing they're being manipulated by outside forces. The issue ends on mutual respect and early crossover, showing how Spider-Man fits into Marvel's wider world of heroes.
Cover art. Issue 72.
The Shocker makes his long-awaited return, determined to defeat Spider-Man once and for all. As the villain terrorizes New York's banks, Peter must battle both the Shocker and his own growing doubts about his future. Aunt May's health continues to decline. Gwen worries about Peter's distance, and the action crackles with Romita's kinetic art. In the end, Spider-Man triumphs, but his personal life feels shakier than ever.
Cover art. Issue 73.
In this issue, the mysterious Tablet of Time resurfaces, tying back to the Kingpin storyline. Spider-Man investigates as new crime lords fight over it, including Silvermane, head of the Magia crime syndicate. Gwen and her father, Captain George Stacy, become involved, heightening Peter's guilt about the dangers that surround him. This issue begins a deeply emotional and suspenseful multi-part crime arc that defies late 60s Spider-Man storytelling.
Cover art. Issue 74.
Silvermane's scientists unlock the ancient tablet's power, creating a youth serum. As Spider-Man battles his way through Magia agents, he witnesses the shocking result. The elderly Silvermane transforms into a vigorous young man, then continues de-aging uncontrollably into nothingness. The Tablet Saga becomes one of the most mysterious and tragic arcs of this period, and a showcase of Stan Lee's knack for mixing youth, science, and crime drama.
Cover art. Issue 75.
Death Without Warning is a deeply emotional issue. The Lizard returns, and this time he's more savage than ever. Peter must once again try to save Dr. Kurt Connors from the monster within. The fight is vicious, tearing through the city, but Spider-Man refuses to kill him. In the end, Peter succeeds in curing Connors, but the cost is visible in his face. The issue closes on a quiet human note, a reflection on mercy, morality, and friendship. Phenomenal issue.
Cover art.
Part 2 of the Lizard arc. The creature escapes again, trapping both Gwen Stacy and Aunt May in the chaos. This time, the battle is personal. Peter risks revealing his secret identity to protect them. In one of the most suspenseful fights of the era, he manages to stop the Lizard while keeping his identity safe. It's a classic example of why Spider-Man's greatest victories often come with the greatest strain.
Issue 76. Cover art. Issue 77.
A fiery clash. Spider-Man teams up and briefly clashes with the Human Torch against the Lizard. John Romita Sr.'s artwork ignites the pages as the two heroes argue over tactics, egos flaring as much as flames. But when they finally cooperate together, they save innocent lives and contain the Lizard once again. It's a fast-paced, fun team-up that balances tension, humor, and most of all, heart.
Cover art. Issue 78.
A new foe debuts, the Prowler, Hobie Brown. a young window washer, an inventive genius who creates his own costume to fight crime. After being misunderstood and labeled a criminal, he crosses paths with Spider-Man. Their battle ends when Peter learns Hobie's true motives and gives him a second chance. This issue is praised for its social awareness, showcasing a working-class black hero with dignity and depth, years ahead of its time.
Cover art.
Hobie Brown redeems himself by helping Spider-Man stop real criminals, proving he's not a villain. Their alliance is short but heartfelt as Spider-Man sees a reflection of his younger self in Hobie, someone just trying to do good in a harsh world. This issue blends redemption, understanding, and growth, a theme that defines Peter Parker's worldview.
Issue 79. Cover art. Issue 80.
One of Spider-Man's earliest foes returns, the Chameleon, the master of disguise. Now more dangerous than ever, he infiltrates government facilities, framing others for his crimes. Spider-Man must untangle layers of deceit to expose the truth. The story blends espionage and superhero action, marking a shift toward the more political, spy-themed tone of the 1970s Marvel.
Cover art.
80 issues, and Spider-Man has never been more iconic. With each battle, Peter Parker grows, and the stories continue to balance heart and heroics perfectly. Next up, issue 81 through 90, where we're building towards some of the most dramatic moments in Spider-Man's early history.
Issue 81.
What in the world? A new villain leaps into Spider-Man's life. The Kangaroo, an Australian boxer whose freakish jumping ability makes him a surprisingly agile threat. Though the premise is light, the tone is serious. Peter's juggling his studies, his relationship with Gwen, and his responsibilities as Spider-Man. After an acrobatic battle across rooftops, Spider-Man defeats Kangaroo and delivers a warning. Being a criminal will always lead to a fall.
Cover art. Issue 82.
Peter's world grows smaller as Randy Robertson, son of the Daily Bugle editor Joe Robertson, becomes prominent, representing the changing times and youth activism. Meanwhile, Electro returns deadlier than ever, using TV broadcasts to electrify his attacks. As Spider-Man battles him in a televised showdown, Romita's artwork bursts with energy. Literally. The issue ends with Electro defeated, but the media still twisting Spider-Man's image. Naturally.
Cover art. Issue 83.
A mysterious new criminal mastermind, the Schemer, emerges to challenge Kingpin's empire. Spider-Man gets caught in their violent rivalry, unsure which side is more dangerous. Beneath the surface, hints suggest the Schemer has a personal vendetta against Kingpin, one that hits close to home. The story blends crime drama with superhero action, a growing hallmark of late 60s Spider-Man storytelling.
Cover art. Issue 84.
The Schemer's true identity is revealed. He is Richard Fisk, the Kingpin's son, returning to destroy his father's criminal empire. Spider-Man is torn between stopping them both and preventing tragedy. In a brutal confrontation, Kingpin collapses from heartbreak and rage upon learning the truth. The issue ends with Kingpin in hiding and Richard walking away in guilt. A dark Shakespearean, if any, family drama wrapped in superhero action. Strong story.
Cover art. Issue 85.
Aftermath and emotional dominate this issue. Kingpin lies weakened, his criminal empire fractured. Spider-Man tries to stop the remnants of his gang from spreading chaos across the city. This issue shows Peter's compassion even towards his enemies. A recurring moral strength. Gwen's love for Peter deepens, while Aunt May's condition worsens, keeping Peter trapped between his heart and his duty and moral obligations to the ones he loves.
Cover art. Issue 86.
The Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, returns with a brand new costume. Her sleek black bodysuit debuts, oh my, that defines her modern look. Inspired by Spider-Man's example, she tests her skills against him to prove she can still be a hero. Their fight is tense but respectful, ending in mutual admiration. Naturally, the issue blends action style and a touch of espionage, a sign of the times for Marvel evolved into the 70s.
Cover art. Issue 87.
Weakened by illness and pressure, he collapses, and in a moment of delirium, he reveals his secret identity to Gwen, Mary Jane, and his friends. Believing she's seen Peter's mental breakdown, Gwen thinks he's imagined himself as Spider-Man. That's hysterical. It's one of the most dramatic and ironic twists of the era. Truth revealed, but no one believes him. Isn't that life sometimes?
Cover art. Issue 88.
Dr. Octopus returns, newly escaped and more dangerous than ever. Of course he is. His plan seizes control of a military missile system to blackmail the government. Spider-Man faces him in one of their most ferocious battles, with Captain George Stacy investigating from the sidelines. The tension between duty and danger escalates, setting up one of Spider-Man's most tragic moments ever. Oh yeah, it's coming.
Cover art. Issue 89.
A landmark, heartbreaking issue. During the climactic rooftop battle between Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus, a piece of falling debris fatally strikes George Stacy as he saves a child's life. In his dying moments, he reveals he's known Peter's secret identity all along. And in his final breath, he urges Peter to take care of Gwen. It's one of the most tragic and powerful moments in Spider-Man history. A turning point that defines Peter Parker's sense of guilt, responsibility, and humanity forever. One of the most powerful aspects of Spider-Man I always felt was, aside from the coolness of the hero dynamics, was his personal life. With Spider-Man, it felt like we got an intimate look at a character, not just the superhero aspect, but behind the scenes in his daily normal life, which I think connected and resonated with readers, and why we love and cherish Spider-Man, because he opened up his world to us and we got to know the real him through it.
Cover art. Issue 90. Cover art.
90 issues, 9 whole years of Spider-Man's journey. We've seen unforgettable villains, heartbreaking twists, and cover art that defined a generation of comics. Now it all leads to the milestone moment of issues 91 through 100. This is where the first chapter of Spider-Man's legendary saga reaches a true climax. Let's finish strong.
Issue 91.
In the aftermath of Captain Stacy's death, Spider-Man becomes public enemy number one. A new vigilante, Sam Bullet, runs for district attorney on an anti-Spider-Man campaign, with Gwen Stacy supporting him, blaming Spider-Man for her father's death. Peter is torn apart on the inside, unable to tell her the truth. When Bullet hires thugs to attack Joe Robertson, Spider-Man exposes him, saving Gwen's life in the process. The issue ends with Gwen beginning to question everything she thought she ever knew.
Cover art. Issue 92.
Spider-Man is accused once again of endangering Gwen, and Iceman of the X-Men leaps to her defense, believing Spidey is a menace. Their battle rages across snowy New York rooftops, dazzling with motion and color. When Gwen is nearly killed by criminals, Iceman realizes Spider-Man's heroism and aids him in the rescue. By the end, Gwen's faith in Spider-Man and Peter slowly begins to return.
Cover art. Issue 93.
Gwen Stacy and Peter are at a crossroad between Gwen's love of Peter and her hatred for Spider-Man, whom she blames for her father's death. Peter is torn between telling Gwen the truth and protecting her from it, as she has been invited to go to England to visit and possibly stay with her uncle. Peter fails to effectively communicate to her how much he loves her and does not want her to go. Hobie Brown, the Prowler, hears rumors that Spider-Man has vanished or gone bad. Worried, he investigates. Hobie suits up as the Prowler and confronts him. The two clash across rooftops until the Prowler takes a fall and is rendered unconscious. Spider-Man carries him to a hospital for treatment. Peter is racing against the clock as he desperately wants to get to the airport in time to stop Gwen from leaving for London. A devastated Peter realizes that he is too late. Her plane has already departed.
Cover art. Issue 94.
The Beetle makes his Silver Age return, seeking revenge on both Spider-Man and the Human Torch. Meanwhile, Peter continues to grieve Captain Stacy, and his relationship with Gwen hits a crossroads. She plans to leave for London to distance herself from the pain. As Spider-Man battles the Beetle in a breathtaking aerial fight, his internal struggles deepens. duty to others versus love and peace for himself.
Cover art. Issue 95.
Peter follows Gwen to London, determined to win her back. But even overseas, trouble finds him everywhere he goes. Terrorists attempt to destroy a U.S. ambassador's plane, and Spider-Man must stop them without revealing his identity. In a suspenseful chase across London's landmarks, he foils their plot and saves lives, but Gwen still chooses to stay behind. A bittersweet chapter, one that shows how Spider-Man's life as a hero always ends up costing him personally.
Cover art. Issue 96.
Controversial and groundbreaking, this issue marks the return of the Green Goblin and the start of the famous Drug Awareness trilogy. Published without Comics Code approval, Peter discovers his friend Harry Osborn has become addicted to pills, spiraling into paranoia and collapse. At the same time, Norman Osborn memories return and he once again becomes the Green Goblin, targeting Spider-Man in a hallucinatory battle that parallels Harry's own descent. An emotionally raw and socially bold story that redefined hero realism. Powerful story.
Cover art. Issue 97.
The Green Goblin attacks Spider-Man relentlessly, endangering innocent lives while Harry's drug overdose leaves him near death. Peter must save both his best friend and stop his deadliest enemy, all while concealing his identity. When Norman sees Harry unconscious in the hospital, the shock causes his goblin persona to vanish again, for now. This issue's social message about addiction and compassion earned it widespread praise for breaking comic book taboos.
Cover art. Issue 98.
The conclusion of the anti-drug trilogy, Spider-Man fights to the finish against the Green Goblin in a chaotic battle across New York skylines. When Norman's rage consumes him, Spider-Man refuses to strike the killing blow, instead saving Norman from his own madness. Harry's recovery in the hospital gives Peter a brief sense of peace, but the cost of his double life and the pain it causes those around him weighs heavier now than ever.
Cover art. Issue 99.
After so much tragedy, this issue offers reflection. Spider-Man stops a prison riot while contemplating his own choices in life. Guilt over Gwen, fear for Aunt May, and worry for Harry. By night's end, he saves dozens of lives, but feels emptier than ever internally. It's a quiet, introspective issue showing the loneliness of heroism and Peter's ongoing struggle to reconcile both sides of himself, to feel whole.
Cover art. Issue 100.
A milestone anniversary issue and one of the most famous cliffhangers in Spider-Man's history. Haunted by guilt and longing for a normal life, Peter creates a serum to eliminate his spider powers forever and be done with it. But when he drinks it, something goes terribly wrong. He collapses in agony, only to awaken with 4 extra arms. The shocking final panel, Spider-Man transformed into a 6-armed hybrid, kicks off the legendary 6-arm saga, symbolizing the monstrous consequences of trying to escape his destiny. On a side note, issue 100 is the last issue Stan Lee wrote, since he started with number 1 on The Amazing Spider-Man.
Cover art.
And there you have it. The Amazing Spider-Man issues 1 through 100, from humble beginnings in Queens to battling some of the greatest villains in comic book history. We've watched Peter Parker grow from a nervous teenager into one of Marvel's most iconic heroes. Along the way, we've seen unforgettable stories, legendary first appearances, and cover art that has stood the test of time. This first 100 issues run isn't just a milestone for Spider-Man. It's a cornerstone of comic book history. But as amazing as these issues are, the story doesn't stop here. The next 100 issues brings even bigger challenges, shocking twists, and some of the most defining moments in Spider-Man's life. So if you enjoyed this breakdown and cover rating journey, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because we are just swinging into the Amazing Spider-Man issues 101 through 200 next. This is Nasir Subashi. Keep on creating, keep on dreaming, and most importantly, don't forget to have some fun in the process. Until next time.